Zix-9 pressed her translucent fingers against the observation deck's reinforced glass, watching the Earth creature pace below with fluid grace. The orange and black striped beast moved with a predatory elegance that reminded her uncomfortably of home. "Fascinating specimen," murmured Professor Keth 7, his crystalline voice resonating through the communication implants shared by the 12 Viridian exchange students. "The humans call it a tiger. Note the muscular structure, the retractable claws, the binocular vision adapted for hunting." Tal 3, always the skeptic of their xenobiology class, flickered his bioluminescent patches in dismissal. Impressive for a primitive world, perhaps, but hardly a match for true apex predators. Nothing here could challenge a Vorthok. The other students rippled in agreement. The Vorthok were the stuff of Viridian nightmares, 12-foot-tall biomechanical horrors with acid-filled mandibles and near-impenetrable exoskeletons. For millennia, they had been the undisputed apex predators of the Viridian homeworld, until advanced technology finally allowed their species to drive them into controlled habitats. Professor Keth 7's eye stalks rotated thoughtfully. "An interesting hypothesis, Tal 3. Perhaps we should test it." Zix-9's membrane flickered with concern. "Professor, surely the ethical protocols are quite clear about non-interference with primitive species," Keth 7 interrupted smoothly. "However, our research vessel contains several Vorthak specimens for comparative studies. One has been particularly uncooperative. The containment team suggested finding a more permanent solution. The implications hung in the recycled air of the observation chamber." The students had all seen the damage reports from Containment Level 7, where a single adolescent Vorthok had torn through 3 layers of quantum shielding before finally being sedated. 3 solar cycles later, Zix-9 found herself in the emergency briefing room, her chromatophores flashing distress patterns despite her attempts at composure. The escaped Vorthok had torn through the ship's outer hull and crash-landed in something the humans called the Sundarbans, a vast mangrove forest on the Earth continent called Asia. The creature's biosignature indicates it's already begun adapting to local atmospheric conditions, reported Security Chief next to, his normally steady voice carrying an undertone of panic. "At current metabolic rates, it will reach full hunting capability within 2 rotations." Professor Keth 7 studied the holographic display, showing the dense forest canopy where their most feared predator now lurked. "Local human populations. Approximately 4 million in the surrounding region," next to replied. "The area also contains significant populations of local fauna, including several species of the tigers we observed." Tal 3's patches flared with excitement. Now we'll see how these apex predators truly measure up. But Zix-9 felt only dread. She had run the calculations in her head dozens of times. A fully mature Vorthok could process living tissue at a rate that would devastate the local ecosystem within a standard rotation. The humans, with their primitive projectile weapons, wouldn't stand a chance. The first reports came in 8 standard hours later. A team of human researchers had found the mangled remains of a large crocodilian creature near a riverside clearing. The bite patterns were unmistakably Vorthak circular puncture wounds, where the mandibles had injected digestive acids before consumption. Estimated prey mass 600 kilograms, next to reported. "The Vorthak is feeding well." For the next rotation, similar reports trickled in. The alien predator was establishing territory, marking its hunting grounds with pheromone secretions that would drive away most local fauna. It seemed that Earth's biodiversity was about to suffer its first encounter with a truly alien apex predator. Then the pattern changed. "Curious," Professor Keith 7 mused, studying the latest bioscanner readings. "The Vorthok's movement patterns have become erratic." Zix-9 leaned over the display, her skin rippling with concentration. The tracking data showed the creature moving in tight circles, doubling back on its own trail, making sharp directional changes that suggested evasive behavior. "It's being hunted," she whispered. Tal 3's patches flickered in disbelief. Impossible. What on this primitive world could hunt a Vorthak? Their answer came in the form of human satellite imagery that the ship's intelligence systems had intercepted. The grainy footage showed a massive orange and black shape, moving through the underbrush with impossible stealth, tracking something just outside the camera's range. Panthera tigris, Professor Keth 7 identified. One of the larger specimens. Estimated mass, 250 kilograms. "It's stalking our Vorthak," breathed Zix-9. For the next several hours, the Viridian students watched in fascination as nature's most patient predator demonstrated hunting techniques refined over millions of years of evolution. The tiger used the dense mangrove terrain to its advantage, approaching from downwind, moving only when its prey was distracted. The Vorthak, despite its fearsome reputation, had evolved as an ambush predator in the open crystal plains of Viridian. In the close confines of Earth's forests, its size and acid-spitting capabilities became disadvantages. Its heavy footfalls announced its location to a creature that could move like liquid shadow. The end came with shocking swiftness. The tiger's attack lasted mere seconds, a perfectly timed leap that brought 4-inch claws down on the Vorthak's vulnerable neck joint, just beneath the armored head. The alien predator's death throes shook the entire mangrove section, but by then it was already over. In the observation chamber, 12 Viridian students sat in stunned silence as their professor updated his field notes. "Remarkable," Keth 7 finally spoke. "It appears we have significantly underestimated the predatory capabilities of Earth's apex fauna." Tal 3's bioluminescent patches had dimmed to barely visible flickers. How is it possible? The Vorthak has dominated our world for millennia. Zix-9 found her voice first. Different worlds, different rules. Our predators evolved for our environment. This tiger, it belongs here. It knows every sound, every scent, every advantage this forest offers. Professor Keth 7 rotated his eye stalks toward the students. "Today, you have learned perhaps the most important lesson in xenobiology. Adaptation is always relative to environment. No predator, however fearsome, is apex everywhere." As their ship prepared to depart Earth's orbit, Zix-9 took one last look at the blue-green world below. Somewhere in those vast forests, tigers continued their ancient hunts, unaware that they had just proven themselves capable of taking down the universe's most feared predator. The students would return to Viridian with more than just research data. They carried with them a new respect for the elegant lethality that evolution could produce, even on primitive worlds. And perhaps, Zix-9 thought, a healthy reminder that true strength often comes not from size or technology, but from perfect adaptation to one's environment. The day alien students discovered Earth's tigers could hunt their deadliest predator became the day they learned that in nature's grand design, there is always a bigger fish, or in this case, a more perfectly adapted cat.